It's time for Vivid Talk, a coaching conversation to cultivate your visionary lifestyle. I'm your host, Gwen Witherspoon, Better Life Coach. We use my proprietary Vivid model for growth and development to get us started, but it's not a real conversation without you. So join in. Visit vividtalkradio.com for details. We've got a great show for you today. Glad you're here. Welcome to Vivid Talk. I'm Gwen Witherspoon. Today's episode of Vivid Talk Radio is brought to you by Flip Productivity. And it's a prelude to the new season of Vivid Talk. New co-hosts, new focus, new episodes, all slated for this fall. Before we get started, let me tell you how you can join the conversation. Post your comments on our blog, share in social media, or visit vividtalkradio.com to start a Coach on Call chat. I am sitting here with Marje Etheridge, one of my favorite people on the earth. And this woman is like a sister to me. And I was so grateful that she agreed to come and be our guest. So welcome, Marje.
Hello. Thank you.
Just for my audience, let them know who you are and what you've been working on.
Thank you for having me. I call myself a socially responsible media film producer. Really what that simply means, I want to use media to create positive change in our society. And, media is powerful and we can certainly do that. So I've been working on it literally for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And one way that I'm doing that is telling stories. So telling personal stories of leaders and CEOs with the whole goal to inspire kids to explore business and entrepreneurship.
Okay. So now how did you come to that? How did you decide that that's what you wanted to be?
Well, my brother was murdered in 1997. His birthday, he turned 21 on Monday and he was killed on Wednesday. Wow. After his funeral, I went through his things and he had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of CDs, videos. They were probably 95% negative in content. I told my parents, I'm going into media. I said, because my brother, I believe the perception was his reality. So what he heard over and over and over, what he watched over and over, that was his world. And so he thought, having a gun that's pretty cool. And it couldn't kill me because, people die all the time on TV and they come back to life. Even Bugs Bunny falls off a cliff. I told my parents that's what killed them. And of course they thought I was crazy. And I said, I'm going into film and TV. Literally. And so it took a while to learn what it was going to take to do it. And so, of course, I gone through a ton of personal challenges that delayed the process, but I stayed focused. Sometimes people quit, but I recently read a quote that says, if you ever think about quitting, remind yourself why you got started. And I'm constantly reminding myself, that's why I started this.
So you must have a lot of money.
Wow. You got that right.
You had a vision for reaching 729 million souls. You have this ridiculous faith. I was joking when I said you must have a lot of money, but at the same time, I do realize you are probably one of the wealthiest people I know.
You know what? It's a mindset.
Exactly.
Wealth is a mindset. So it's funny because I was telling a lot of our team members I'm starting a billionaires club, and I probably have $10 in my wallet or $10 in my bank account.
Okay.
Especially at that time, And so, it's a mindset because I think, there are people that have millions and millions of dollars, but they have a poverty mindset. Mm-hmm. And then there are people.
How is that possible?
I ask that question often. It's possible because you're still holding on to that poverty that you say maybe you grew up in a very poor home or environment, and then you found one day I'm going to have all this money, but you're still living in that past. You're still living, and you're going to hold on to this money because you never want to go, I'm never going to be poor again, so I'm going to hold on to it. And that's kind of sad to me that, people who have money haven't come to a point of really being able to enjoy the wealth. Mm-hmm. I want to enjoy the journey because the journey is sometimes even right now, the journey is beautiful.
Yeah.
If you can open your eyes and see it.
And recognize
and enjoy it. So while I'm aspiring to become a billionaire, and I had to first accept that. I had to first, because one of my friends kept telling me 20 years ago, "You're a billionaire. You're a billionaire." And I'm thinking, well, do I really want to be a billionaire? Is that something I want? Yes, absolutely. Now I want, because I know my purpose, right? And because I know my purpose, I know what I would do with that money. It's not just about me saying I'm a billionaire. It's about me being able to use it to help others, as well as my own children. And it's part of my legacy. So money, yes, it is a mindset. Being wealthy is a mindset. Being rich, it's a mindset first. Because if you hold on to that in your mind, and you're using your words to say it, I am a billionaire, I am, and this is why. So our mantra is get money, do good, have fun. Not make money. Because money doesn't, you don't need to make it, right?
Right.
Just get it. God gave us the power to get wealth. And so let's just get it, do good with it, and have fun.
So, my favorite subject now is vision. You and I talked a lot about dreams and dreaming. And I've kind of shifted my focus to vision, because the scripture says, without a vision, the people perish. And what I realized is we first have to have a vision for everything. Like, you can't start any endeavor and really not have that big picture that you're working toward. But rather than getting caught up trying to look like you're living out there in that vision, we have to back up and start from where we are. But we got to keep that vision in front of us to give us the strength to keep moving. So what have you learned about vision through this whole process over these last 5 years?
And that's a great question. One of my newest friends, his name is Mo the Dot, and Mo has written a book called Solve for Happy.
Okay.
His mission in life right now, his mission is to reach 10 million people and to help them experience uninterrupted happiness, which equates to joy. And one of the things that he says is to be aware. So many people are just not paying attention. They're just kind of living life just blind. They're the walking dead. And that statement about being aware is open your eyes, pay attention to who you are, what's going on with you. That whole meditating, being still is so important. And vision is, just like the scripture says, without vision, we perish. So having a vision, being able to see, being able be aware of what's around you, what's inside of you, who is in your life right now. They are there for a reason, even if it's for a moment. They're in your life, so pay attention to those individuals. And so I like the idea of embracing awareness in my own life, because one of the things that he says in terms, because I thought his book, it talks about engineering your path to happiness, which I thought was kind of silly when I first heard it.
Right.
Who does that, right? Even in Dubai, they have a minister of happiness. And when I listened, what he was saying is pay attention to these voices that are in the forefront of your brain, because they could just be a waste of your time, which is true. I started practicing that. Get rid of those voices and focus on the voices that are helping you fulfill your purpose, or even find your purpose or your dream or your space, or that place rather, that you feel you belong in that moment. And vision is so important, but it starts with that awareness. It starts with being aware of what's around you, pay attention. And you and I, when you and I first connected, you remember I was telling you about to go down Old National Highway to meet me somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it was at a restaurant.
It was Red Lobster.
Okay.
You were asking me to meet you at Red Lobster, and I had a meeting every week where I had to pass by that Red Lobster, but I had no clue of where it was when you told me about it. And you said, "But don't you go to this meeting every week?" And I said, "Yeah, I go to my meeting." And you said, "But you drive right by it." And I said, "Oh, I've never seen it."
that point to me, and I tell my kids this: you pay attention to what's around you. I mean, not to say you have to focus on every single thing,
right?
But just take time to
look around, and see. And I lived habitually and perpetually in a tunnel, so I was only focused on getting to that meeting, getting what I needed from that meeting, and getting back home so I could get back to work on whatever it was I was doing. So the idea of this glancing around like loosely was like foreign to me. And you were shocked. You're like, what?
I do. I pay attention, and that's partly why I feel so wealthy.
Yeah.
Because I learned so much from just, sitting next to an Uber passenger or talking to the Uber driver, or, I'm listening and I'm learning, and everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And it's a good story.
Well, you're the ultimate connector. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So
true.
what I think I need you to do is talk about, just tell us briefly, where have you been? What kinds of people have you been dealing with, like, over these last 5 years? Because the idea that at times you've had $10 in your wallet, yet you've done all these things, that those two do not compute. And so what I need people to understand. I need our listeners to understand exactly who I'm talking to and what kinds of things you have been doing.
Well, like I said, I'm a film producer. So even when I don't have money, even when I have bill collectors calling me, I become friends with bill collectors. I'll give you a wonderful story. I'd love to encourage people. So when I'm remarried now to a wonderful man, but before I married him, I was going through a divorce, and we had this home that I had. It was a very large home, and he had gone off with his new wife, right? And so I tell the mortgage company, look, I need to refinance this home because I don't want any confusion as to who really lives here right now, right? So the guy said, well, you don't make enough money to pay the mortgage for this home and to refinance it. I said, well, I'm going to one day be so wealthy. I'm doing this CD and I'll send you a copy of it. I sent the mortgage guy a copy of my CD. I said, I'm going to be famous, and you need to refinance this house for me because I know I'm going to be very, very successful. So he believed me. We became friends, and they refinanced the house. I got this check for about $77,000 to live off for time. But I became friends with bill collectors that believe me. They believe in you. If you believe in yourself and you sell yourself, they'll believe that really happens. In every single case. Wow. Well, when you get your television show, will you please consider hiring me? I've always dreamed of getting into music or acting. Wow. So they're calling you to collect a bill and then asking you to consider them when it happens. When it happens. Because it's going to happen. I love it. And that is so encouraging. But what happens, I don't start by saying, well, do I have enough money to do this? That's not the question. The question is, do you have enough faith in yourself and your ability to figure it out? So I majored in mathematical computer science in college and psychology. So the math part, I think I was kind of conditioned. I'm really good at math, and I'm used to hearing figure it out. And the psychology is human behavior. White people behave the way they do. So mixing the two, I think that's helping me as a storyteller. You're just fearless about your approach to anything. And what I love is ultimately it's about your heart for people and what you're just trying to do for folks. I chose to become a film producer. I made that choice. I've always loved stories, but when you think about, okay, what is happening with our kids, what's happening with youth today, they are so influenced by media. Mm-hmm. So you can make a conscious decision to say, okay, if I really want to be part of the change or part of the solution, what can I do? Okay. Yeah. So being a film producer, I made that decision to step into that career because I felt that's the way to make the change, right? And when you want to be involved in dreams, so dreaming is pretty much the topic for me. It's like, okay, I will say that I am the dream queen.
And I can attest to that. We're going to take a commercial break. And when we return, we'll continue our conversation with social entrepreneur and film producer, Marje Etheridge. At Flip Productivity, we've made planning simple with the Flip 5 principles of planning. Look within. What is this dream that you have? Look up. Why is this worth doing? Look around. What's in your hand? Look ahead. What's the vivid view? Look back. How far have you come? Flipproductivity.com. Plan, produce, play. Welcome back to Vivid Talk. I'm your host, Gwen Witherspoon, and we're returning for the second half of my conversation with Marje Etheridge.
Everything has to do with vision and dreaming. So when I discovered, okay, I want to help kids, when we discovered kids couldn't read, right?
Yes.
It's like, okay, gosh, kids can't read. How are they going to survive? So we started on book.
Yes.
Then I discovered that you say, well, what is your dream?
They can't
answer it without saying, well, I want a car one day or a house one day, or I want to have this things.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. What is your purpose? What is your passion? What type of legacy would you like to leave or to live? That is not something they can answer. So then I figured we got to help these kids figure out how to dream.
Yes.
In order to, how do you dream? So that's what Dream to Lead, the TV series, is about. Is we give them examples through stories, and maybe that story will inspire a kid that's me, to dream.
Yeah.
That's me. If something in your story could resonate with a child. We're doing time buys with Bloomberg TV and Fox Business. Our distributor is Reach Me TV, and they are giving us access to airports, hotel rooms, malls, and even gas station pumps. So it's pretty pervasive.
Yeah. So again, tell us how we got to that point. How did little old Marje with $10 in her account get to Bloomberg and Fox and all these people? And how do you get the people? Like, tell us some of the people that you're interviewing for these.
Well,
for these short films.
I actually wasn't looking to do the show on Bloomberg at all, because most kids, the audience that I'm reaching or attempting to reach, they don't, typically watch Bloomberg. So I met a gentleman who was interested in launching his show, and he's the connection to Bloomberg. But then when he heard about the show idea that I had, he said, you really should put this show on Bloomberg. And I'm thinking, why? And he said, because the kind of leaders that you want to reach, they would want to be part of it.
Mm.
So if I went to some of the other networks, they probably would not have been so willing to allow me to share their stories, because, but Bloomberg has such a great reputation. And then, so it's a gentleman that really it's a time buy. So, and a lot of artists, they're not aware that you can do that if you're going to pay them, of course they'll do it. And I got a really decent rate. And so you just go and you figure it out. You find out how to get the money. Don't just, you get a show idea. Sometimes we're so quick to just sell it and just get whatever because we need money. And I know that artist feeling, you do need money. But I just said, I'm going to find the money and do the time buy. That way I can own the show. It's my show. I'm marketing, I'm a branding professional and an advertising professional, so I know how to get sponsors. Mm-hmm. So I just use what I know, my skill set, to figure it out, make it happen. Each episode is industry based, so we have fashion, we have film, we have travel, technology, agriculture, publishing. Just about every industry is covered as part of the television series. And so when are we going to start seeing them? Probably mid 2018.
Since I know you, I love that. I know it's driven by your desire to help young people dream. Like literally that is the reason. Mm-hmm. But I also know that you're attached to some people with some really deep pockets. And so any visionary that's listening to us, they need money for their projects. But I love that you start with that vision. You start with that ultimate dream. What is it I'm trying to accomplish, and how many people can I impact? I love that you're talking about even just being aware, and that's how you're connecting with all these people. How are you not intimidated to walk up to some of these folks? Can you give us some insight into how do you do it? How do you keep going through all of that, through the pressure of the bills, because it doesn't stop?
It doesn't. here again is a mindset. So I think about the culture of giving. The giving model is so important. So even when I meet billionaires or millionaires, I'm not thinking about at first what can they give to me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of think you think about a billionaire. What is it that you can give to a billionaire? We all are unique individuals, and so there is something that I can give, right? And it's a connection. Sometimes we think that they know everybody, and they don't.
Yeah.
They're looking for connections. And as part of our show, we don't charge leaders to tell their stories. So I can give you an opportunity to share your story or to even express your vision for your legacy. Then once I have the opportunity to share with them what I can give them, that opens up an opportunity for me to discuss what I'm doing because I have a product that I believe in and it's a service that can help a lot of people and it can make a lot of money at the same time, which gives me now a platform to ask, but I start with what is it that I can give. And that's something that concerns me about our society. Are we creating a culture for givers? When kids see giving opportunities, are they excited about it? I try to wake up thinking about what can I give today.
Yeah.
I try to make that a part of. Right now, I have a box in my car. I'm sending to one of my partners. She's a millennial, 27 years old, living in LA. Nicola, shout out! And it's kind of a care package because we're all, until we get when we're fully funded, we're still trying to, keep the lights on. So I just found all kind of pocketbooks and shoes and toiletries. I just put in a box and send to her and some love and let her know it won't be much longer. So giving I think is. I would just say to any entrepreneur, even though you're struggling, you're trying to, hold on to every little bit that you have, find a way to give. To answer your question, that mindset is what has gotten me through.
I love that the phrase you said, giving platform.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. You are also the master collaborator. So talk about that because I think some people, they're trying to network so they can find somebody to get them where they need to go next. But learning how to truly collaborate and be partners in that collaboration where you're genuinely interested in what the other person is doing. Talk about that some.
Right now, people are focusing on some of the same pots too much.
Yeah.
Right? And there are so many others, but we can share, we can collaborate. Everybody wins that way. Mm-hmm. When you are open to sharing and working together. And not just the money part, it's also the knowledge, wisdom, ideas, innovation, creativity comes from collaborating. You're open.
And also the thing I know about you and what I hear you saying too is you're not, one, you're not greedy, and two, you're not worried. You're not paranoid. And what I hear from so many entrepreneurs is, oh, you better protect that idea because somebody's going to steal it. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, well, just where that idea came from, others come. So many ideas you get. I think when you are willing to even give ideas away, more ideas come. So that goes back to the whole giving model. Because what I did learn early on is you can have an idea and it changes so much as you start to, because an idea is a seed.
Yes.
And as the seed evolves, it's constantly changing. And so you don't need to worry about that, especially in the early phases. Yes. Even in our television series, the model has changed so much. Just imagine if I had spent all the money early on, getting everything trademark and all that. Look, the show is completely different than what it started. Yeah. And all the different layers and pieces of intellectual property just evolved. So I'm so happy that I wasn't paranoid. Right? Yeah. Because it just constantly changes, which is good. And if you collaborate, if you have that spirit of collaboration, if someone brings an idea, okay, well, then let's kind of find a way to make it work where you can benefit financially as well. If they decided to take the idea and steal it, I would be like, okay, if you can do it, let me come work for you. Right? I would work for you because this has not been easy. I've thought about giving up many times. And the metaphor that I look at is in a boat, and I can't swim. I'm in a boat. I'm in the deep of the deep. I'm not going to jump off. I don't even see the shore. Where am I going to go?
Right. You're so far out.
I'm so far out there. And so I'm not quitting.
I think that the families of visionaries really pay a price. And I've learned that in my own life, and tried to make some adjustments. This doesn't keep me from being a visionary. It doesn't keep me from going out there attempting the ridiculous and impossible. But so how have you dealt with that, you and your family?
I try to find balance, being a wife, a mother, even being a daughter and being friends. How do you balance? And having God first in my life, really. And I love this when people get awards. It says giving honor to God. God was first in my life, right?
Yeah.
But it's true, really. When God is first, it makes a difference because you start out, God, I need you to tell me how to do this, how to be a good wife. I mean, how to be good to myself first.
Yeah.
Think about me, how to make sure I'm eating, I'm exercising, I'm conscious of who I am, staying connected to God, to yourself.
Yeah.
Then others, your family and others.
Yes, that's part of the question is how do you make your family feel taken care of and valued and all of that, and kind of help them to not be so fearful about what could possibly happen, all the doom that comes from not knowing. And I think that's a constant struggle of a visionary, because that may be even why some of them may not be as on board as you might want them to be.
Right. Well, they know my family. I've always relied on my faith in God and knowing the Word of God and allowing the Word of God to be the authority in my life. Really, no, that's not something that I hide. And my family knows, so they come to me for all kind of advice, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm going to give them. Not in a religious sense.
Right.
It's like I've tried this word and it works. Yeah. Right. I've tried it. It works for me. So yes. So they've been astounded by the same thing. How are you able to do this? How do you meet all these kind of people? I live in a very wealthy community in Atlanta. How is that possible? Yeah. It's because, number one, I trust God. When wealth is in you, if you say, Lord, let your wealth be in me, let it be around me, and let my life be governed according to your word, it works. You work the word works, right? And so I do that with my parents, and they are now on board. They asked me for advice because they see me going through all this, but I'm so grounded in my faith that it's like, wow, she's going to make it.
I am just beyond ecstatic to have you on Vivid Talk Radio today.
I'm ecstatic to be here.
And I cannot wait for our listeners to hear this over and over. I expect them to have to put it on repeat so they can capture some of these nuggets that you have dropped for us. So tell us about anything. Is there anything other than Dream to Lead that you're working on now that you want to talk about, or do you want to tell us some more details about Dream to Lead before we go?
Well, one thing I would like to say is that we are working on a superhero character. Her name is Captain Dreamer. Captain Dreamer's mission is to let everyone know that when you do find your purpose, you too are a hero, a superhero, right? Every one of us, we are captains of our own dreams. So shout out to Judy Freja, who is Captain Dreamer, and we're working on. She will not only have her own show, we were also working on a film project, but she will also be one of our narrators for Dream to Lead.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Marje.
Thank you, darling, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Vivid Talk Radio, a coaching conversation for visionaries. A special thanks to our sponsor, Flip Productivity, an action planning system to help you plan your work, produce what you've planned, and spend more time at play. Visit vividtalkradio.com to follow us and make sure you never miss an episode. Join the conversation by speaking your mind, posting your comments, sharing in social media, and tagging @VividBrands. You've been listening to Vivid Talk Radio with Gwen Witherspoon. Join us each Wednesday at 5 p.m. and get vision for every area of life. Visit vividtalkradio.com for more. Until next time, make it vivid.